Alright, so who should really get the shot at this point? Should it be Gene Silva or should it be Movsar Evlov? But hey, it's your boy DHP and y'all know the rest, man. And hey, so I know this is a late upload. Had some shit I had to take care of yesterday. Plus my allergies acting up because yeah, this weather out here is bipolar and it's pollen season. But anyway, yeah, we got some shit to talk about, and actually, you know, it kind of worked out because now we get the fight announcement with Manel Cap and Horiguchi. So I do want to talk about the flyweights a little bit later in this video, just for like, you know, a couple minutes or so. But yeah, we still got to talk about the judge's decision on because even I recently went back and watched that fight yesterday just to make sure, and I promise you, I just don't, and I might add a little rant to the judges, a little rant about the judges' scorecards too, because we just talked about this shit like last year about how the judges is like scoring fights nowadays. Because what was the fight? Jordan Almeida fight. Jordan Almeida, like low key, Jordan Almeida should have beat Volkov, right? But the way they scored the fight, they want niggas to be aggressive. You know what I mean? So Jordan didn't really do anything with his takedowns over Volkov, and Volkov was a little bit more aggressive standing up and shit like that. So they gave the fight to Volkov. This time, it's like the judges scoring. I like how they scored that fight, but then this fight in pretty much any other fights that we seen in the past year and a half or so, just in recent, not all through the years, because we can talk about this shit for a whole hour, but all through the years, I mean, not all through the years, but in recent, like this past year, it's like it's so inconsistent. Like one fight, I like how they scored because they're actually looking for you to fight, and it's not just like they want niggas to stand up and stand there and kickbox and box all the time. No, they just want you, if you're going to go to the ground, right, you better be active. You always looking for transitions, whether it's full mount, top mount, side control, whatever. Or you can try to put a nigga in a crucifix, whatever. Or if you're actively looking for submissions, you know that shit counts too, right? As well as ground and pound damage. So I like how some fights they looking for activity and they scored accordingly, but then in some fights where we just saw with this fight is like Movsar, in my personal opinion, like yeah, I wouldn't say I'm happy that Movsar won, but I do feel a little bit of relief for Movsar because he should have been, as I said before, he should have been got a title shot. But because of injuries and inactivity and other bullshit, he really hasn't gotten the title shot that he rightfully deserves. So it is kind of a more like a relief moment that you can say for Movsar that he should be the clear-cut contender. We're going to talk about it in a few seconds with Gene Silva. But with this fight right here, I still don't understand how they gave Movsar, to me, Movsar Evlov, it was like too little too late type shit. And tell you the truth, the point deduction was kind of blessing in disguise because it made Movsar much more aggressive. I feel like if he didn't have the point deduction, he would have kind of, I wouldn't say played it safe, but he would have kind of been more methodical with it. But he just waited too long for me, you know. So that fight, me rewatching that fight, I'm like, I still got the same feelings that I had during the review. It's more like Movsar just waited too long. Because, tell you the truth, if you know, I don't know whoever went back and watched the fight, but you go back and watch the fight, nigga, the fourth round, when he started grabbing Leron for real, and then that fifth round where Leron was tired, gassed out, if Movsar would have did that, at least the second round, like the first round, just try to, you know, stand there and trade with him, even though that still would have been smart. Just stand there and trade with him to let him know, like, look, like, you may be a little bit more technical, but I'm right there with you. And then the second round, start going to do what you're doing. Even if he would have did that from the second round, this fight wouldn't have even been close. Movsar really proved in that fourth and fifth round that if Movsar would have just stuck to his game plan, the fight wouldn't even been that close for real. But I don't understand. I still don't understand till this day. Shout out to Deontay Wilder. Till this day, I don't understand how Movsar got the W. But with that being in mind, right? So fast forward, we already know what happened with Gene Silva. There's videos out with Gene Silva handing a contract or handing a paper to Hunter Campbell. Then all week Gene Silva said he was going to be there to watch the fight, but signed a contract for Volk. But Volk is basically with Volk. So Volk's saying on his side is like, looks like it might be Movsar Evloev. So it seemed like either Volk didn't sign the contract or there was no contract given to him about Gene Silva. Then Dana White, you know, y'all favorite uncle, right? He said at the post-fight presser, the press conference, whatever. Basically, I'm just paraphrasing. Basically, Movsar, he really didn't feel like Movsar wanted to fight, and he's reluctant to give him the title shot, quote unquote. But Gene Silva is right there in the background. So basically, he's saying it's between Gene Silva and Movsar Evloev, and they kind of reluctant because number one, they didn't feel like he wanted to fight, and you know, and tell you the truth, the only reason he thinking about, you know, they said they thinking about giving him the fight is because of the winning streak that he's on, which also leads me into another rant where I feel like this the shit I be saying with UFC. I be saying this a lot in my personal messages. The UFC, and also it goes back to the video I made like months and months ago about the integrity of the sport. UFC is just, with each and every day and week and month, I feel like the UFC is losing its integrity of the sport of MMA when they do shit like this, because they basically saying, and y'all can go on I believe MMA Fighting or MMA Junkie or whatever for like the official quote, but they basically gonna, Gene Silva is in consideration because he's a more entertaining fighter than Movsar Evloev, and then Gene Silva and Volk would probably make more money than Volk and Movsar Evloev. And to me, that's on the boxing and WWE wrestling type route, where it's like, it's not even about the fighter rankings no more. It's not even about who rightfully deserves what. It's all about, because if you think about boxing and WWE wrestling, now boxing is obviously real fighting, right? WWE is scripted combat sports, but in a similar, you know, in a similar roundabout way, the shit go off what makes money, especially for WWE wrestling. The wrestlers that get the title shots, the scripted title shots or whatever, the WWE title, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, like, they go off fan popularity. When we go back, like, for those that watch wrestling, y'all know, like, it was like a decade ago, we had the era of Daniel Bryan and that Yes movement. Daniel Bryan was so popular that it was undeniable that you had to put him in a championship storyline with John Cena and Randy Orton, you know, and you know, other wrestlers like Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt had a huge following, so Bray Wyatt would get some good even though there was some politics. Well, I could get into that, but I'm not gonna get deep into it. But Bray Wyatt, he got into a lot of good storylines because of his popularity and the character that he portrayed. It was so popular and good with the fans. Boxing is kind of the same way, where they go off money fights. Like, yes, you have a mandatory, but also some of the half of these fights, it's just like, what fight that can make the most money? You know what I mean? Now, there's also a problem with boxing because some of these niggas, well, half of these niggas in today's boxing, they don't want to fight like the best of their weight class or whatever. It's all about, you know, you got to come up here, or not like that, but it's like this shit has to make the most sense money wise. You know what I mean? Going back to the UFC, they're going that way. It's been like that for a cool minute, which is why I made that video about has the UFC lost its integrity ways. But it seems like more than ever now, the shit is just going south with how I view the sport of MMA. So, I'm not going to lie to you. Do I think Movsar Evloev won the fight? No. But they still gave him the dub, right? But now, in this situation, who deserves a title shot more? You have to go with Movsar Evloev. You have to. Under no circumstance does Gene Silva deserves the Volk fight to get a title shot. Yes, would it be more exciting and draw more money? It probably would. It probably would, because Gene Silva, I mean, everybody know who Movsar Evloev is, but, you know, if you want to talk about, now if you bring in the casuals, niggas gonna know who the casuals gonna know who Gene Silva is more than they're gonna know Movsar Evloev. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's gonna draw more money. It's gonna be more entertaining, but no, Movsar, he's, granted, you know, whatever we thought about the fight, yeah, Lerone got robbed, but Movsar won the fight, right? They gave him the fight. Movsar won the fight. It was a third ranked fighter, and Movsar is still ranked number 1 at featherweight. What I've said last week in my videos last week, what did I say? You rarely see, not rarely, but at least about 6 to 7 times out of 10, when you look at when we go into the title fights, right, and you look at the ticker, as y'all see, I don't even think they're gonna show it on the yeah, y'all see it right here on the UFC, on the game right here, where it says Taporia and then UFC and it says Faber. Like on UFC TV, they showed like where they rank at, the champion, or then, you know, the challenger, where they rank at. This ticker right here, at least 7 times out of 10 nowadays, you don't see the champion fight the number 1 or the number 2 contender. It's always a nigga that's like 4th rank, 5th rank, 6th rank. You know what I mean? So Movsar has to. He not only do he has to, but it needs to be Volk versus Movsar Evloev. There's no other matchups that you can make other than that particular matchup. Let Gene Silva, because Gene Silva, give Gene Silva like Yair Rodriguez or somebody like that, or even like Kevin Vajallos. Because Gene Silva's not even in the top 3 yet. You know what I mean? He's not. I don't even think. I'm gonna do. I should have went ahead and looked at the rankings again. But Gene Silva, he's not in the top 3. That's for damn sure. So that's my official opinion on that. Movsar, there should be no other fight for the title that need to be made, and it should be no excuse why Movsar shouldn't get the title shot. It should be Volk, Movsar Evloev. Maybe, you know, Volk gets the fight in his hometown again, you know, or somewhere in Australia. Who, you know, if they want to do Volk's backyard, go for it. But Movsar, without a shot of a doubt, needs to be the fucking title challenger. You know what I mean? Now, Lerone Murphy, to Lerone Murphy, honestly, I mean, if you want to, because Lerone didn't really take substantial damage, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're going to get an announcement like within like a few weeks or so. So, I'm saying this shit now, but truth be told, I wouldn't even be surprised that Gene Silva ended up getting the title shot, and then Movsar is just, he's going to get the winner of that. So me, what I'm about to say next probably don't even mean a damn thing, because they probably going to do Gene Silva and Volk anyway. But shit, he didn't really take any substantial damage, I don't believe. So give Gene Silva Leroy Murphy, or Leroy Murphy, if you don't want to take some time off, right? Give him like the winner of maybe give him the winner of Yusuf Salah and Aljo, or give him maybe, just maybe, give him like, because everybody's booked and shit like that. Maybe give him T City when he comes back. You know what I mean? Like you could kind of go. I would rather him either fight. Yeah, we gotta see what's going on with Yair, but I want to assume that Yair, that they probably might make Kevin Vajayos and Yair Rodriguez, but shit, when T City gets back from his little injury or whatever, shit, I give him that matchup for real, for real. You want to keep it a buck while everybody else is being booked and shit like that. Truth be told, just off my philosophy, and if you want to keep it within the rankings, like close by the rankings, I would give him the winner. Give him the winner of Yusuf Salah and Aljo. Tell you the truth, even with Leroy Murphy coming off that loss, but it's not no major loss where it's like he got to fight a nigga like T City. You know what I mean? You can give him like the winner of that matchup, but yeah, Leroy, I do feel kind of bad for him because he won that fight, bro. He won that fight, but as I say always with some of these guys, it's a little setback or a little roadblock in the road for a major comeback. You know what I mean? What's that little saying? Minor setback for a major comeback. You know what I mean? But damn sure know that Gene Silva does not need to get that title shot. He does not. Let me repeat. Gene Silva does not need to get that title shot. Let Movsar get his eventual title shot. You know what I mean? Or I tell you what, was it even a better matchup for Leroy Murphy? Now I just thought about it. No, give him the winner of Diego Lopez fight. With Diego Lopez and Steve Garcia, I believe, at the White House. Give him that fight matchup. But that's pretty much it for that, bro. I can go on and on about the way the judges was scoring that fight. I can go on and on about that shit. I might make another video on that shit too, because I thought it's crazy, because I made a video about this shit. I made a video about this shit, going into 2026. I believe it was one of my videos, like late December, going to 2026. I'm like, the way y'all judging the fights now, this is what I need y'all to continue on going through 2026. And here we go. We back to the bullshit. Back to the bullshit. Let me see here. Matter of fact, go ahead and do this matchup for real. But that's pretty much it for that. So now we on to the next segment of this video. Saying the rest of these segments, it's kind of quick. It's kind of quick because there ain't really too much popping off right now. But we do got some little some shit going on. But Max and Conor. Now they said something about International Fight Week. Patty was there, so expect some Patty news for International Fight Week. Conor, Max talking about he wants to fight Conor, and honestly, tell you the truth, that will work. That will work because Max will get his rematch, and Max is like, he's not in a position where he can like fight niggas to get back to. Well, I mean, tell you the truth, if he beat Conor, he could just get himself back in title contention just by fighting one other nigga. But I think Max on his side quest. Like he on his side quest super fight vibe right now. Where I feel like he's not really. He did say he wants to get back to that lightweight to Ilya Taporia so he can be a weight class champion. But the options at Max right now, I feel like the Conor rematch is warranted. You know, so it's potential. It's potential that we can have Max and Conor at International Fight Week, as well as I do know Conor, the way they was talking, Conor not being at the White House, and you know, Conor was saying shit on his Instagram. It do seem like they saving Conor for something at International Fight Week, and it would make sense. It would make sense because Conor, whatever you think of Conor, Conor's not in his prime no more, obviously, but he's still a household name, not only in MMA but in sports in general. You know, Conor is one of the few niggas that became larger than life. You know what I mean? So Conor and then Max, although Max is not really a household name outside of the UFC, within the UFC, he's a household name. So they had history before. Conor is Conor. Max within the UFC realm, Max, it holds weight. That's a blockbuster fight. You can make an International Fight Week for real. So do not be surprised if that matchup comes to fruition. And then Paddy, more than likely, Paddy is going to be either the third fight on the card or maybe the co-main event. I wouldn't be surprised if they do Max and Conor and then Paddy as the co-main event. Paddy and somebody else. Maybe Paddy and, you know what I guarantee you they might do? Do Max and Conor, right? If Mauricio Rufy beats Michael Chandler at the White House, nah, because International Fight Week, that's too close. That's too close. I just thought about that shit now, because the White House is in June, right? Like towards the end of June. International Fight Week is probably gonna be the middle of July, I think. Yeah, that'll be too close. They're gonna have Paddy. I don't even know who the fuck they can give Paddy, to be quite honest. Because who else would there be for Paddy? And you got to think about. I might have to think on that, because I was gonna say if Rufy was to beat Michael Chandler, which it could be possible, because Rufy, he could dust Michael Chandler off in the first round and not take any substantial damage, where he could make a quick turnaround. But you know, anything can happen in the fight, you know. So I might gotta hold off on Paddy's matchmaking, because Paddy, for him being on International Fight Week, it gotta be somebody that's worthy, that's name worthy. You know what I mean? But also could be within the rankings, but we'll see. And also Dana, John Jones, just to talk about them for a little bit. I also want to talk about MVP too. Backpedal a little bit. MVP. So I see on the rankings, by the way, I might do another rankings update the 1st of April, either that or after 320 after 327 Yuri and Carlos Ober pay-per-view. But I seen on the rankings, MVP is now 12th ranked, so he over jumped Arus's Medic. Low key, that's a matchup right there in its own. Go ahead and book MVP and Arus's Medic. That would be a good matchup. And I know niggas not really feeling MVP right now. They going with the boring memes and shit like that. So I know MVP is not very popular with the crowd right now. But striking wise, I think that's the fight to make that would get MVP to take shit serious and actually fight for real. Cause Roos's Matty, that nigga is a dog, bro. That nigga is a dog. That's the nigga that's gonna get MVP to fight. So I would like to see them make that fight happen. But Dana White, John Jones, Dana White and John Jones at this point, it's the fucking Dana and the Tito was never my friend. Like, honestly, at this point, it's just like every other beef that Dana had with everybody over the years. We talking about Tito Ortiz, T Wood, DJ. Like, add John Jones to that list. Add John Jones to that list. Now, you know, Dana and the UFC, they getting into it with Ronda and them. They trying to erase Ronda from history. It's funny with the Ronda situation because they did like a women's breaking barriers video or whatever, and they put Chris Cyborg. Yeah, Chris Cyborg is another one. You know, Dana and Chris Cyborg and the UFC been going at it. But it's funny, speaking of Cyborg, they put Chris Cyborg up there as women breaking barriers for the UFC, and they didn't put Ronda up there. And it's funny, they didn't put Ronda up, but they put Chris Cyborg. That's funny to me because they treated Chris Cyborg like shit. You know? So it's this whole Dana John Jones situation, it's just a prototypical, and I always say this because that's the first one that come to mind with Dana. It's the prototypical Tito was never my friend type shit. It always happens. Everybody has, there's always a fight. It don't matter who it is. Every year we always get something about a fighter and Dana, you know, not cooperating, you know. Even right now with Tom Aspinall and Tom and Dana. Like, Tom went ahead and signed with Eddie Hearn and his agency. And, you know, Dana and Eddie Hearn is beefing all this other shit. It's nothing new with Dana White. But to end this video off, the flyweights, Manel Kape, Koji Horiguchi. I'm excited for that fight. That fight right there, and you know the reason why I want to talk about this? Because the first time they fought in another organization, right? Nice ass Japanese stadium, right? Why is these niggas running the now? This is the first matchup they had in the UFC, but throughout their career, they fought already before. So technically, this would be the first fight between these two in the UFC, but throughout MMA history, this will be their second fight. But why is these niggas running their rematch back at the fucking Apex, bro? At the fucking Apex. Come on, man. Like, what we doing here? The fuck is we doing here? This fight right here don't deserve to be on the fucking Apex, bruh. The fucking Apex, like, put this as a co-main event on like, this fight could headline a good fight night card, and it could be a co-main event of a good pay-per-view. Or if you have if you have a pay-per-view that have two title fights, this could be a good third fight on the main card. The fuck is we doing putting Horiguchi and Manel Kape at the fucking Apex? That is some bullshit right there, but this is good for the flyweights because it lets me know it's one or two things. With this matchup being made, it's one or two things. Either Pantoja is definitely getting an immediate rematch, and he's getting the winner of Tatsudo Tada and Joshua Van, or the winner of this matchup will face Pantoja, and then that will be the true decider who fights for the flyweight belt. The winner of Tara and Joshua Van. So I really like this matchup. Or there's a third option. Or the third option is, you know, Pantoja is still not ready. So this will be the title eliminator fight, and whoever wins this matchup will face Joshua Van or Tara, and then Pantoja will get the winner of that. That might be the case. That might be the case, but Pantoja has been training, so we'll see how everything play out. But I would assume that Pantoja has to be getting next from at the winner, because Joshua Van and Tara is within like a month time. You know, they're the co-main event of the Yuri and Carlos Ober 327 pay-per-view. So I would have to assume Pantoja would get the winner of that, right? And then so the winner of Manel Kape and Koraguchi would get the winner of Pantoja fighting the winner of Van and Tara, if that makes sense. But yeah, man, that's all that really happened. That's really newsworthy. The only thing else is like the White House was like I think I was talking about this with my boy last week. ABC Boxing Commission stepping up to sanction the White House because the DC over here in DC, the DC Athletic Commission, they wasn't going to sanction the fight, the White House card, so ABC is stepping up. But other than that, you know, everything's been then we covered everything for now. We on to Izzy and Joe Pyfer in Seattle. And I know a lot of niggas already just burying the card because, and I ain't gonna lie to you, on paper, these next couple of fight night cards, even with this weekend with Seattle, Izzy and Pyfer, and then going into next week, tell you the truth, these cards on paper is not appealing. It's not appealing to the masses. But as we always say, bro, that old cliche saying, these are the fight cards that low key be some bangers. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Joe Pyfer and Izzy content. I'm actually gonna start that tomorrow. Because tomorrow's Wednesday. Didn't make a video Monday because of the issues I had. So hopefully my body stays intact because this allergy, all this allergy shit is whooping my ass. But anyway, until my next video, holla at y'all niggas later, man.